Earth Network with your host, Sean Myrie. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and iHeartRadio. This episode, some edutainment for you people. The name is Rare Earth. If you don't know, now you know. Rare earth is very, very valuable. That's why, in regards to trading and stuff like that between countries, like, for example, America and China and Canada and others, there's, some conflict because this rare earth is very powerful and is needed for a lot of things on the earth, right? And it's worth a lot of money because the process. So let me read what rare earth is. Rare earth elements is also called REE, also called rare earth metals or rare earths. Rare earths are a set of 17 nearly indistinguishable lustrous silver, white, soft, heavy metals. The 15 lanthanides or lanthanoids, along with scandium or yttrium, are usually included as rare earths. Compounds containing rare earths have diverse applications in electrical and electronic components, lasers, glass, magnets, materials, and industrial processes. Rare earths are also to be distinguished from critical minerals, which are materials of strategic or economic importance that are defined different by different countries, and rare earth minerals, which are minerals that contain one or more rare earth elements as major metal constituents. So this is really important. Rare earth. The term rare earth is misnomer because they are actually scarce, but because they are found only in compounds, not as pure metals, and are meaning they're not pure metals, difficult to isolate and purify. They are relatively plentiful in the entire Earth's crust. That's why they call rare earth. Cerium being the 25th most abundant element at 68 parts per million, more abundant than copper, but in practice they are spread thinly as trace impurities. So to obtain rare earth at usable purity requires processing enormous amounts of raw or at great expenses. So China does that. So China is all into that. America has some, Russia has some, but because China, they don't really care about environment, they don't follow certain regulations. So that's why China's really big in it, and that's why America doesn't like that Canada has a deal with China because of the electric cars. That's what's going on. Electric cars is a threat to the American economy, and part of it is this rare earth stuff. If you don't know, this rare earth stuff is the most valuable thing on earth right now. The term rare earth is okay, so what else is there? What else is there? Scandinavium and yttrium are considered rare earth elements because they tend to occur in the same ore deposits as the lanthanides and exhibit similar chemical properties but have different electrical and magnetic properties. All isotopes and protrothium and radioactive. It does not occur naturally in the Earth's crust except for a trace amount of generated by spontaneous fission and uranium. A lot of stuff they use to develop this stuff. They use a lot of stuff, and I guess China is the place. I guess other countries don't mind doing this. It's responsible for all your technology. This rare earth is responsible for 90% probably majority of the technology and power to run a lot of things on earth right now, right? So what else is there? Because of the geochemical properties, rare earth elements are typically dispersed and are not often found concentrated in rare earth minerals. Consequently, economically exploitable ore deposits are sparse. The first rare earth mineral discovered in 1787 was gandolinite, a black mineral composed of cerium, yttrium, iron, silicon, and other elements. This mineral was extracted from a mine in the village of Ytterby in Sweden. Four of the rare earth elements bear names derived from this single location. Commercial production and modern times describe the reserve of the rare earth elements in terms of rare earth oxides. Mm, the ice, buddy, chill. The ice, not about the ice, man. Ice is gone. Ice is quiet right now. This is all about this rare earth, which is popular or really important for America, especially America. They have rare earth in America, but the development of it is, it causes a lot of environmental problems. So that's why China is big in it because they don't give a damn about a lot of their environment, right? Which America? I'm talking about the commercial America, the one with Donald Trump. Like America depends on this rare earth. Rare earth, it powers a lot of stuff. I don't know. A lot of people don't know what this rare earth is because they might have just heard about it maybe in stock markets or, scientists talking about it, but don't really know what it is. The uses, application, and demand for rare earth elements have expanded over the years. In 2015, most REEs were being used for catalysts and magnets. The global move towards renewable energy, so it's very important for renewable energy, rare earths. Technologies such as electric vehicles. That's why Trump is very mad because Canada has a deal with China they're giving Canada 50,000 electric vehicles, and they're going to be doing development with Canada to make more of them, which China has the rare earth, which is, it helps power it. That's here, such as electric vehicles, EVs, and wind turbines, along with advanced electronics, defense applications, meaning military, and consumer electronics such as smartphones. We all use that, has caused increased demands for REEs. So China is powerful in this. China dominates the rest of the world in terms of REE reserves and production. So the production, other places on the earth have it, but because they do the production and they master it, it makes them more influential. In 2019, it supplied around 90% of the global demand for the 17 rare earth powders. The Chinese government has placed restrictions on its supply and sales of REEs since around 2010 for various reasons. After the United States president, once again, Donald Trump escalated the trade war with China in 2025. China introduced further restrictions, leading other countries with known reserves to step up their exploration and production efforts. As of 2025, the US and Myanmar produced the second. So America teamed up with somebody to produce the second and the third highest amount of REEs. But Brazil and India have the second and third largest reserves in metals. Wonder what Africa has. The US military and automobile industry need the rare earth minerals. That's why they don't like that Canada has a deal. Skits beats. They don't like that Canada has a deal with China. They don't do it in the US because of the pollution runoff from toxic processing. Yes. And that's why China's doing it because they don't give a damn. Islam is the truth and the way, brother. If you want to be a Muslim, that's good for you, brother. It's all good for you. But I'm talking about rare earth right now, right? So it's a lot of pollution. I understand. It is a lot of pollution developing this rare earth, these powders. And America, because they're trying to be good with the environment, they don't really want to produce it too much in America. So they'll make China. That's why China has the power because they're not strict with the environment stuff. So they'll just produce it, so they'll have power, right? and influence. So in 1787 discovery, rare earths were mainly discovered as components of minerals. The term rare refers to these rarely found minerals, and earth comes from the old name for oxides. The chemical form for these elements in minerals. The adjective rare may also mean strange or extraordinary. In 1787, minerals discovered in Lieutenant Carl Axel Arrhenius at a quarry in the village of Ytterby, I don't know if I'm saying it, the Ytter by Sweden, reached Johan Gadolin, a Royal Academy of Turku professor, and this analyst yielded unknown oxides which he called yttria. I think that's what it's saying. So they found this in 1787, right? But they didn't really produce too much of it until, recent times. So there's a whole history of this and the production from 1700 going all the way through the 1800s, all the way through to the 30s, and up. They didn't really start doing mass production until later, until the 70s and the 80s and on, right? China took it over. So these rare earths, what I'm saying, is really important to the world. And that's why America does not like, or Trump does not like, that Canada is dealing with China because of this rare earth stuff. That's what it really is. This rare earth stuff is really powerful. It's for this defense systems, also military, and it's for technology, which a lot of people need to use. So that is a threat when um, China's not really dealing with the so-called biggest power in the world, America. It's a threat. They're saying everybody else should step up their production, right? It takes tons of material to get a kilo of rare earth minerals. Yeah, that's why they're saying America should step up their production. Other countries should step up their production because I guess they're still feeling the pollution. That's one reason. And it's like opening a Pandora's box. It explains a lot of stuff. That's one reason why they say China is one of the most polluted countries in the world because of this. They're supplying all of this stuff to the world, right? It makes sense now why they have these ghost cities, because a lot of the places where they've been manufacturing are polluted with all of this stuff from the rare earth. So the rare earth production thing is really dangerous. So America won't do it. Most countries don't want the production of it, but China is willing to sacrifice their people or the population to, I guess, for this power, because it is responsible for your smartphones, it's responsible for your computers, probably, it's responsible for defense systems, responsible for running vehicles. So it's very important, but at the same time, it's pollution. So them saying that they want to develop EV cars also in Canada makes me wonder, is Canada, what's Canada trying to do? Are they gonna be using the same, is Canada gonna get in the business of, developing it? I never heard Canada with this rare earth, but I guarantee Canada has rare earth too. Right? So this is a big thing, what a lot of people don't know. So really, it started from the 1940s, the purification. They discovered it in 1700s, but look how long it took for them to really start the production. In the 1940s, Frank Spedding and others in the United States during the Manhattan Project developed chemical ion exchange procedures for separating and purifying rare earth elements. This method was first applied to the actinides for separating plutonium 239 and neptunium and uranium, thorium, and actinium, and the other actinides. See how they have these words and materials produced nuclear reactors. Plutonium 239 was very desirable because of its fissile material. Makes sense. So this is what started this whole rare earth started a lot of things for people, for this society to basically even run right now. hmm Flash Heaton isolation message. In 2022, study mixed flash ash with carbon black and then sent 1 second current pulse through the mixture, heating it to 3000 Celsius to 5430, I think, Fahrenheit. I don't know what that means. F. Couldn't be Fahrenheit. The fly ash contains microscopic bits of glass that encapsulate the metals. The heat shatters the glass, exposing rare earth. Flashing heat also converts phosphates into oxides, which are more soluble and extractable using hydrochloric acid at concentrations less than 1% of conventional methods. The process extracts twice as much material. So there's a lot of pollution with this development of rare earth. And because it's very important, this rare earth is very important for a lot of things to work. But pollution. So China is basically, sorry to put it like this, but China is basically like the toilet for the world. China's like the toilet, right? Because they're producing this the most, and it's not safe. It's not a safe thing, right? The term rare in rare earth is a miss. Okay, what else is there? People don't know about this rare earth. A list of rare earth elements. Rare earth elements or minerals are distinct from mineral materials described of critical minerals or raw materials, which refers to materials that are considered to be strategic or economic importance to the country. There's no single list, but individual governments compile lists of materials that are critical for their own economics. Interesting. They have a list of countries what they use it for. We know everybody uses it for technology. Cerium, they get these names off of like Roman gods too, and Greek gods. Neodymium from Greek neos meaning new and didymos meaning twin. Ah, rare earth magnets, lasers, violet colors in glass and ceramics, didymium glass, ceramic capacitors, electric motors, and electric automobiles. Damn, very important. Neodymium. These names, man. Promethium, after the Titan Prometheus who brought fire to mortals. Nuclear batteries, luminous paint. Samarium, after mine officials Vasily Samarsky. By Hovets. These names, man. By Hovets. Rare earth magnets, lasers, neutron capture, masers, control rods, or nuclear reactors. Huh. Euphorium. Rare red, blue, phosphorus lasers, mercury vape lamps, fluorescent lamps, and NMR relaxation agents. This shit's important for a lot of things, man. A lot of things. So rare earth, it keeps going. There's a list, and it's good. See, that's why it's good to read and do research, actual research. Tholium, after mythological northern land of Thol. So a lot of these names are Greek names from gods, right? These scientifical names. Now, thorium is portable X-ray machines, metal handled lamps, and lasers. A lot of this is for light. So this whole rare earth makes a lot of energy light. Now, Ytterbium, Ytterbium, after the village of Ytterby, Sweden, infrared lasers, chemical reducing agents, decoy flares, stainless steel, strange gauges, nuclear medicine, and earthquake monitoring. So, LED lights, anything with a light, right? Including our phone, us seeing visuals and shit. That's why they're saying our phones could have what's called radiation. It makes kind of sense when they say certain things have radiation. Microwaves for sure must be part of this. Lu- Lutium, I think it's that, after Lutetia, the city that later became Paris. Okay, these nicknames. Position, admissions, tomography, PET scan detectors, high refractive index glass, lutetium tantalate host for phosphorus catalyst using refineries, LED light bulbs. See the language they have? So crazy trying to announce it, but basically what I was looking at, it's responsible, this rare earth, for a lot of lights, a lot of LED lights, a lot of lamps, a lot of powered things, right? Just a lot of powered shit, right? So it probably works hand in hand with electricity, but it seems like this rare earth is very important for like power, but you got to do a lot of processing, which causes pollution to get all of this. So it's a trade off. People, please like, subscribe. How many countries, including the United States, designate REEs as critical minerals, parts per million in Earth's crust? There's a classification, light versus heavy classification. So this is for technology. Without this stuff, rare earth, a lot of things don't happen. A lot of things are not developed without it, right? Much respect, Jonathan Thompson. A lot of things is not developed without this rare earth. That's why they call it rare and earth. And that's why when you look these things up, what people are talking, when you look up why people are fighting politically, right? Like America, China, or whoever. Look, do more deep searching. And one reason why Trump hates that Canada has done a deal with China is because of this rare earth and the big production of electric vehicles, which runs on this, this rare earth stuff. And they're going to be developing it crazy, like cars. That's what they're going to use it a lot for. They're using it for other electronics, but they're going to be using it a lot for electric cars, which is going to hurt America because America has rare earth, but they don't want to be developing it because it hurts the environment. China does it and they don't care, but it makes sense now why they have these ghost cities, these huge cities they've been developing the last maybe 20 something years in China. No one really lives in them. They just have the maintenance crews what live in them and clean them up. I'm gonna do an episode on that, the ghost cities. But it makes sense because when you look up some of the most polluted places on earth, China is one of them. And why? Because they're doing a lot of production for the rest of the world. And that's why they're promoting other people to do do it. And I'm hearing this rare earth is responsible for green, green, green technology, to make things better. I don't know how that's gonna work. So I don't know if people know about this. There's a lot to this. It's scientific. You gotta kind of have patience to kind of understand the language like anything else. But when you start to understand the language of what these people are developing and producing, then you link it to the politics, you know what's really going on. So what's really going on, right? Especially with this tariff stuff in regards to what Mr. Trump is doing. He's only doing this so he could hurt industries around the world. And I guess I think that's supposed to help America, right? But it's not going to help against China. So a lot of things are going on right now. It's not going to help. But it's good to know what things like this is the most important thing I think in the world. This thing to run a lot of energy. It says origins of rare earth elements. Rare earth elements except scandium are heavier than iron, thus are produced by supernova nucleus thesis or by the process in asymptotic giant branch stars. In nature, spontaneous fission or uranium 238 produces trace amounts of radioactive protheum, but most protheum is synthetically produced in nuclear reactors, which they need the same rare earth to do. Due to their chemical similarities, the concentration of rare earth in rocks are only slowly changing by geochemical process, making their proportion useful for geochronology and dating fossils. Damn, this shit is very important. Do they teach this in school? Maybe in university. That's it. But they're not telling you about this, right? It's responsible for a lot of stuff. The majority of the most important stuff, what powers the world. That's why it's called rare earth. And that's why China is, at the top, I guess, with the technology for real. So there's a whole bunch of developments for this rare earth. Without this rare earth, the world can't really function because it's for reactors, nuclear reactors. It's for all your technology you use in your house, basically LED lights, your phone, your computer. The list keeps going. The list keeps going. So this rare earth, they use it with other things. I think they do mix it up so they could power things. This is how powerful it is. This rare earth is very powerful, and China, everyone has it, I guess. A lot of places on earth have it, but China is the only ones who are willing to this pollute because it's it pollutes a lot. People, please bring up the likes, please subscribe. It pollutes a lot. They're willing to develop it and sacrifice their people in developing it. So that's why you see China in Africa. That's why you see China in all these other places because they're not telling people there's a lot of pollution. What's hurting their people? There's a billion and something people in China, but there's still a lot of people being affected by this development, right? Whoever has the most rare earth will have military superiority. So that must be China. Must be China. Or not necessarily China. America has a lot of it, but maybe they just don't want to develop it in the production way. They want to maybe use somewhere else to develop it more because it's very polluted. It pollutes a lot. So I'm wondering, is that the reason they want Greenland? It could be the reason he wants Greenland. It could be that could be a main reason because they're saying there's minerals and shit like that there. So if rare earth is in Greenland and there's not a big population there, that's probably the place they want to start doing a lot of, I guess, their development there. I think that's what it is. Everything's connected. I think one reason they want to go to Greenland is because of that. People, what do you think in the chat? I think that's one of the main reasons they want to go to Greenland and take it over. Because if I look it up, I don't even have to read no more of this rare earth. It develops crystals. You keep hearing all this stuff, man. It's like this is very important. I suggest people, everybody who's watching, look up rare earth. And I will be promoting this episode more than ever because this is the top the top thing for everything what humans are using now, right? I think it has a list of different countries. They need a lot of water to process rare earth, so perfect for Greenland. Wouldn't it be perfect? There's a lot of water around Greenland near Canada, right? It says South Africa, mountain pass in United States. Most common types of carbon. Man, there's so much science with this rare earth. It's crazy. Just look it up. It's mixed up. They do a lot of different mixing and with all these different elements of the on the earth. But rare earth is the main thing. But it's a process to, like, to fully come up with it so they could use it, right? It's a process. But what I'm going to tell you, I'm going straight to the point, is that China has been developing it for years of production. They're promoting other countries to do it because I guess maybe they're tired of doing it, or they don't want it to do anymore because it's affecting their environment, and maybe they're starting to feel what it's doing to the people, right? Um, After China undercut world prices in 1990s, many mines in other countries closed, and it took several years to restart production. Shit. So they got power. Now it says because their geochemical properties are rare elements are typically dispersed and are not often found concentrated in rare earth minerals. Consequently, economically exploitable or deposits are sparse. Until 1948, most of the world's rare earth were sourced from placer sand deposits in India. Oh, and Brazil in the 50s. South Africa was the world's rare earth source. Oh, so they probably drained that place from monazite rich reef at the Steen Kampa Skurl mine in West Cape province. That's Africa. From the 60s until the 80s, the Mountain Pass rare earth mine in California made the United States the leading producer. Oh, I see. From the 1960s to the 80s, the Mountain Pass rare earth mine in California made the United States the leading producer, but they stopped. In the 90s, European countries, in particular France, produced a lot of rare earth. After China undercut the world prices in the 1990s, many mines in other countries closed, and it took several years to restart production. So China took out everybody. And I think a lot of the other countries don't want to do it because it's really bad for the environment. In 2009, future worldwide demand for rare earth elements was expected to exceed a supply by 40,000 metric tons annually unless major new sources are developed as a result of the increased demand and tightening restrictions to export the metals from China. In 2011, some countries were stockpiling rare earth resources. Searching for alternative sources continued in many other countries. China. In 2013, it was stated that the demand for REEs would increase due to the dependence on of the EU of these elements, the fact that rare earth elements cannot be substituted by other elements, and because REEs have low recycling rate due to the increased demand and low supply, future prices expected to increase, which are demand continue to increase due to the fact that they are essential for new and innovative technology. These new products that need REEs to be produced are high technology equipment. AI, such as smartphones, digital cameras, computer parts, semiconductors, etc. In addition, these elements are more prevalent in industries such as renewable energy, which America's talking with China about or wants to, and Canada is doing it. Energy, military equipment, glass making, and metallurgy increased demands have strained supply, and there has been growing concern that the world may soon face a shortage of the rare earth. As of late 2023, the global demand for rare earth elements (REE) was expected to increase more than fivefold by 2030. We're near that. The wars are about routes and resources. Yes, fluoride is by the product of toxic processing. So it seems that this rare earth they're worried about is going to go, they're saying is going to go out by 2030. It's 2026. That's not too long from now. So China is really at the front. In 2017, China produced 81% of the world's rare earth supply, mostly in Inner Mongolia. So you notice it's the place where it's off from China, it's near China, but the outskirts of it, Inner Mongolia, it's the same thing where America wants with Greenland. They don't want it necessarily in the mainland. They want a place what's kind of close by but out. That's what China done with Mongolia. Although it had 36.7 of reserves, in 2018 Australia was the world's second largest producer. Australia has a lot of land too. It's an island though. Largest producer and only other major producer with 15% of the world's production. Browns Range Mine, located 160 kilometers (99 mi) southeast of Halls Creek in northern Western Australia, was under development in 2018 and was positioned to become the first significant dis, di, what? Dysprosium producer. I don't know how to say that, sorry. Outside of China. All of the world's heavy rare earths, such as dysprosium, right? Dysporium were coming from Chinese rare earth sources such as the polymetallic Bayan Obo deposit. In 2023, there were over 100 ongoing mining projects with many options outside of China. I saw some pictures. What they've been doing. And that land, after doing it, probably is not healthy. So they've been digging up a lot of places or doing whatever they're doing in China, and people they don't have homes because of this. This is really big. So environmentalists, they're against this whole thing. But guess what? Without rare earth, you don't have a lot of technology. Without that, you basically have no power. As of 2025, 85 to 90% of the global rare earth mineral refinery capacity is in China, which both mines and refines them on large scale. China is responsible for over half of the global mining and almost 90% of processing of rare earth. Around 80% of the US rare earth supply is sourced from China, and the EU imports around 98% of its use from China. So the whole world is dependent on China. The whole world is dependent on China for power, yo, mostly. So they have power. Now I'm gonna take it back with their military. They got some friggin' power, yo. The top 8 countries in term REE reserves as per the US Geological Survey, February 2025 reports on rare earth elements are as follows in tons of rare earth oxide equivalent. China for sure, Brazil number 2, India, Australia 4, Russia 5, Vietnam 6, USA 7, Greenland 8, Tanzania in Africa 9, South Africa 10, and Canada 11. So two people on America's hit list is Greenland and Canada. They're in it. Makes sense. And by China linking with Canada to do any business with rare earth is a big threat to America because America is 7. So Canada might move up the list, right? So China's 44, right, reserve millions metric tons, right? 44, and after reserves per capita 3.07. Brazil, number two, 2198.339 per capita. India, they don't care either, 6.9, and then 4.87 per capita. Australia, 5.7, and then per capita is 202.39. Russia, 3.8, right? That's million metric tons, right? And at the per capita, 2608. Vietnam, 3.5 metric tons. Per capita is 34.45. US is 1.9 million metric tons. And reserves per capita is 5.47. Greenland, Denmark is 1.5 metric tons. Per capita is 249.90. Now, 9 is Tanzania, 0.9, and reserves is 12.76 per capita. South Africa, 0.9, and reserves per capita, 1390. Canada is 0.8, and reserves is 20.40. So it makes sense. The plan is to have China and the leaders of the manufacturing, Russia, leader of natural resource, and Israel, the leader of industrial chip making. Well, they could try all they want. All I know that China has an upper hand in a lot of stuff. So they're going to have to do something to China to slow them down. What will they do? I don't know. But they're going to have to do something to slow China down if they're a threat. That's why people are mad that Canada and China has a deal with the EV cars, the electric vehicles. Electric vehicles is going to be, that's the future. Electric vehicles is the future. So it's rare earth powders. In 2019, China supplied between 85% to 95% of global demand for the 17 rare earth powders, such as it's sourced from Myanmar, which is with America now. After 2021 military coup of the country, future supplies of critical ore were possibly restrained. Between 2020 to 2023, 70% of all rare earth compounds and metals imported in the United States came from China. So, China, you depend on Canada. I mean, America depends on Canada for a lot of natural resources. And then you depend on China for a lot of natural resources. So when certain people are talking, don't listen to him if you're American because he's talking shit. I gotta just put it out there because you have a guy who's doing tariffs and trying to hurt other economies, and it's just hurting Americans, just hurting themselves. As of 2025, China was digging up to 70% of the global supply of rare earth, while also processing around 90% of the world's supply. Refining not only its own ore, but also nearly all the Myanmar's and Australia's, as well as almost half of American production. But the chemical processing for 90% of the world's rare earths because it refines all of its own ore and also practically all of Myanmar's and nearly half the US production. In 2025, during China and United States trade war, China restricted exports of heavy rare earth to the US after President Donald Trump imposed high tariffs on American goods being imported by China. Being imported by China. In April 2025, China retaliated by imposing restrictions on the sale of 7 rare earth minerals to America, which will affect your power and energy, right? It'll affect your power and energy. So, rare earth, this is an education education, edutainment for you people. And please like if you can, bring up the likes and subscribe. It's very important. The largest rare earth deposit in the United States is at Mountain Pass, California. So it's in California, and I don't think they want to screw around too much with doing mining in California because they don't want maybe an earthquake, I'm guessing. So that's why they depend on China. So it says the largest rare earth deposit in the United States is in Mountain Pass, California, 60 miles south of Las Vegas. Near. Originally opened by Moly Corp, the deposits have been mined off and on since 1951. So they've been doing mining on and off. A second large deposit of rare earth, Elk Creek in southeast Nebraska. Makes sense. Nebraska's a bushy place, big land, right? Had been under consideration by Neocorp Development, who hopes to open a neobium, scandium, and titanium mine there. That mine may be able to produce as much as 7,200 metric tons of ferro, neobium, and 95% metric tons of scandanium trioxide annually. As of 2025, financing still in the works. So America wants to do something too, but they're doing it carefully because pollution. As of 2006, the Bokan Mountain Project in Alaska makes sense. Alaska. That's why they want Canada, man, and Greenland. Alaska was being developed. The Bokan Dotson Ridge Project, location of significant deposits. Do you see the pattern here? It's in these far rural areas are like Alaska, Nebraska, right? The REE was the subject of preliminary economic assessment released in January 2013 and was reported by a significant deposit reported by reported by the Alaska Department of Natural Resources to be in advanced exploration phase by Eucor Rare Metals in 2025. However, it has no operational capacity. Cap- Yo, the patterns is easily to find out about what these guys are doing because they go to all these places what doesn't have a big population in America. So that's why they depend on China because when they're doing all this mining, it's it's not good for the environment. It really it's not good. In 2024, American Rare Earth Incorporated disclosed that its reserves near Wheatland, Wyoming, total of 2.34 billion metric tons, possibly the world's largest and larger than a separate 1.2 million metric ton deposit in northeastern Wyoming. So they have it, but it doesn't mean that they're producing it like how China's doing. For to produce it, you got to sacrifice your environment, right? Electric cars can be turned off from headquarters. That's what they plan. That's why Trump actually put out something, or the government put out something, or the media put out something that soon the government will control your vehicle so they could turn it off anywhere it is. That's why in Canada, I guess they want to put a lot of electric cars in Canada and America. Every electric fuel injection car can also be turned off at a remote location. That's the only reason they banned the carburetor. You can't shut off a carburetor. They tried, but it didn't work. Thank you, Eddie. Too cool for that. Thank you, Eddie. Too cool and Schizo Beats for the edutainment, right? And people, please like if you can and subscribe. So this is something. As much as people talk, the distraction is all the shit what we see in the media, all these other extra stuff. Even though it seems that it's socially important to know about all these files and stuff, but the biggest thing is him doing tariffs and threatening countries. Now I know why he threatens certain countries and why he says he wants Greenland is because Greenland is a place perfect to develop this rare earth. It's away from major populations. That's why he would pay of the residents to leave Greenland, as he said, Mr. Trump, because it would benefit America to have a place that they could just mine the hell out of and not rely on China. Because they got the technology too in America, but they don't want to develop it too much. That's why all the locations I just told you is like Alaska, Nebraska, Wyoming, right? How much people you hear talk about those places? In 2010, a large deposit of rare earth minerals was discovered in K. Van Neufeld in southern Greenland. That's why, in which the autonomous territory of Denmark. Pre-feasibility drilling at this site has confirmed significant quality of black le, what? Lejavrite, which contains about 1% rare earth oxide, REO. The European Union has urged Greenland to restrict Chinese development. That's why America says if we don't go there, China and Russia will go to Greenland because of this, to restrict Chinese development of rare earth projects there. So they don't want that. But as of early of 2013, the government of Greenland has said that it has no plans to impose such restrictions. Many Danish politicians have expressed concerns that other nations, including China, could gain influence in thinly populated Greenland given the number of foreign workers and investments that could come from Chinese companies in the near future because the law has passed. So that's what Trump is talking about. That's why he wants Greenland so bad, because of what they have discovered in 2010, rare earths in Greenland. So that's why he wants it. Everything's for a reason, people. Everything is for a reason. It's in Vietnam, it's in Madagascar, it's in Canada. Holdis Lake Project, Northern Canada, was developed. It was estimated that this project has the potential to supply 10% of the billion of $1 billion of REE consumption that occurs in North America every year. So Canada could produce a lot of this rare earth. They have a relationship with China. There's a lot of land in Canada where no one lives. Let me say it again. There's a lot of land in Canada way far from the population, which I'm not saying I'm promoting it, but Canada could actually afford to actually do production of of rare earth, which I think is going to happen with China. They're just going to keep it quiet. Canada could do it. There's so much land. They could easily dig up a couple places and start production. So that's what the threat is to, I guess, Trump. That's the threat. Ukraine has stuff too. Ukraine hosts significant rare earth deposits which have been at the center of the 2020 Russian invasion. So that's why Russia wants the Ukraine. All of these things in the world, what's happening is for a reason. It's not for no reason. It's for a reason. It's all for a reason. That's why when things are going on, it's not because it's just going on. It's because there's something bigger picture. Russia is having wars and sacrificing all their people in well, their soldiers because of this in Ukraine. I've been hearing it for years about the reason why Russia's really in Ukraine is for minerals and things like that. This explains it. This explains why America wants Greenland, and why he talks about Canada, and then he talks about China. All these nations, it has something. Ukraine is called its breadbasket of Europe. Yes, Skits Beats, I see it in my little city all the way to Chi-Town? Yup. Okay. Yes. So I've been hearing years ago, I'm talking way before even the social media thing was getting big, and I was reading newspapers and stuff, all right? And seeing about why Russia was really attacking Ukraine, or, against Ukraine, because they claim that's their certain parts that's theirs. And the reason why is because of minerals. They want something there. They want that rare earth. The rare earth is very popular, even though they have it themselves. They want that place maybe to do some mining and shit like that. Either way, the whole pattern of this whole stuff, this rare earth, it has to be developed in a place like to be safe, far away from the population. It's not healthy for humans to be close to it, even though they're mining it. Doing all this mining is really bad for the environment, so they rather go somewhere where it's not a big population. That's why you hear of Alaska, Wyoming, Wyoming, Nebraska, the part in California. I'm guessing it's not near a lot of a big population, but it's still pollution. And you could see that a lot of countries don't really want to do big development of this stuff, and I don't blame them. It produces majority of everything humans use besides food. Besides the food, um, this thing, all of this is important for everything, right? Even to make your clothes, dye clothes, and the lights, the LED, the technology, the computers, the things to operate things, it's all coming from this. They found they originally discovered it in the 1700s. Remember that. So before the 1700s, really think of technology. I mean, around that time, think of technology around those times. And after those times, technology started to develop after the 1700s. It was developing. So that finding was the discovery basically of technology, the finding of this rare earth, and they started to do their science projects is the beginning of what we might call modern technology. Because without it, like I said, defense systems, computers, the works can't really operate. And what I said through this pod, a lot of information. Look it up. It's hard to recycle. Recycling and reuse of REEs. REEs are amongst the most critical elements of modern technology and society. Despite this, typically only around 1% of REEs are recycled from end products. So it can't recycle. So that's big pollution. Recycling and reusing REEs is not easy. These elements are mostly present in amounts of small electronic parts, and they are different to separate chemically. For example, recovery of neodymium requires manual disassembly of hard disk drives because the shedding of drives only recovers 10% of the REEs. So it's not good to even work in a place where you're doing probably like, there's places what deal with computer parts, right? So it's not even safe to be around a lot of computers. This is what it's telling you. This is scary shit. Eddie, you're right. So it says, is there the Mackinder world island theory? Whoever controls the breadbasket controls the world. Well, I'm not saying China controls the world, but China's willing to sacrifice their people and the health of the people to have power, right? You cannot recycle these things, really. So it's bad, man. It's bad. At the same time, we need to learn to consume without such waste, especially with packaging. Yes, you're right. You're right, Eddie. Too cool. People, bring up the likes. If you're new to the chat, please subscribe. So you cannot do anything with this. REE recycling and reuse have been increasingly focused on the recent years. The main concern includes environmental pollution during the REE recycling and increasing recycling efficiency. Literature published in 2004 suggests that along with the previously established pollution mitigation, more circular supply chain would help mitigate some of the pollution at the extraction point. This means recycling and reusing REEs are already in use or reaching the end of their life cycle. A study published in 2014 suggests a method to recycle REEs from waste nickel metal hydride batteries, demonstrating a recovery rate of 95.16%. So they're trying to find ways to recycle it, but it's not enough. They're producing more than recycling, right? And this probably affects vegetation. It's bad, people. But people, please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. This is Down to Earth Network on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Impact contamination on vegetation. I could, I could. That's why China needs certain goods from other places. It makes sense now because they're doing all this production what pollutes even their soil and probably other around that they depend on American. I think they depend on American a lot of the agriculture stuff. Even though they have their own that they could produce, I think they depend on a lot of stuff coming from America, and that's why they're teaming up with Canada too. So China needs agriculture from Africa. That's why they're in Africa. It makes sense why they're in all these other countries, is because they need the food. They have food, but it's not enough for them. They need food, especially clean food, because of all the pollution in the country. The mining of REs have caused contamination in soil and water around production areas, which impacted vegetation in these areas by decreasing chlorophyll production, which affects the photosynthesis and inhabitants of growth of plants. However, areas by decreasing, let's see, areas impacted of REE contamination on vegetation. It depends on the plants present and contamination environment. Not all plants retain and absorb REEs. Also, the ability of the vegetation to intake the REE is dependent on the type of REE present in the soil. Hence, and absorbs REEs. Also, the ability the vegetation. This is not good. I didn't need to read all this shit. This is not good at all, man. That's why China has the ghost cities. That's why they're getting the vegetation, I mean, the agriculture from other places, because even though they said it doesn't affect everything, what people been talking about imported food from China for the last 10 years? I've been hearing about, like, not too much positive stuff. Even the products, they're saying in some of the products is like, not good. Some of this stuff what they're selling in like America or Canada is not good, right? Plastics and stuff like that. I've been hearing about that for years. So it's crazy. On human health, it's definitely doing something. It's a Bible of stuff. You got to know about this rare earth, people. This is edutainment on the Down to Earth Network. The chemical properties of REEs are so similar that they are expected to show similar toxicity in humans. Mortality, mortality studies show REEs are not highly toxic long term. 18 months in a inhalation of dust containing high levels, 60% of REEs have been shown to cause what? Pneumo- pneumonia consciousness conneosis, but the mechanism is unknown. It causes something. They're just trying to fucking protect themselves. While REs are not major pollutants, sure, the increased application of REEs in new technologies have increased the need to understand the safe levels of exposure for humans. One side effect of mining REEs can be exposure to harmful radioactive thorium, as has been demonstrated at a large mine in Batu, Mongolia, China. Well, the Chinese. The rare earth mining and smelling process can release airborne fluoride, like you were saying, Schizo Beats, which is associated with total suspended particles, TSP, to form aerosols that can enter human respiratory systems. Research from the Batu, I think it's Botu, China, shows that the fluoride concentration in the air near REE's mines is higher than the limit value from WHO, but the health effects of this exposure are unknown. So unknown, 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 all known, unknown. They don't want you to know what it is. It's scary, but it's something. Why is it unknown after so much years of this? Why is it unknown? Analysts of people living near the mines in China had many times the levels of REEs in their blood, urine, bones, and hair compared to controls far from mining sites, suggesting possible bioaccumulation, bio, bioaccumulation of REEs. This higher level was related to the high levels of REEs present in the vegetables they cultivated. The soil and the water from the wells indicate that the high levels were caused by the nearby mine. However, the levels found were not high enough to cause health effects. Sure, it's not. Sure, it's on animal health because you eat animals. Stop lying, man. This is all for the money. They're lying, they lie because they want to keep developing all this shit. And I see why. Radio, it powers a big percentage of the society, right? It's really needed. So I see why. Not surprised. I see why. People, bring up the likes if you can, and please subscribe. So rare earths is very rare, right? Very rare. It's something that they should be teaching in school. They probably only teach it in university. You're only going to learn about this stuff if you're doing some type of, you're trying to be a scientist, or you're doing something with medicine, a doctor, or you're doing some type of technology. You're learning something in regards to technology at school, in university. But this thing, rare earth, is deadly. It's deadly. And it's expensive. It's not cheap. It's an expensive process. Animal health. For sure, it's doing something to the animals. It's doing something to the animals. 100% it's doing something to the animals. Crazy, man. How much people know about rare earth? How much people know about the rare earth? I don't think a lot of people know. They don't really know. They just hear about it. What's rare earth? Without that, you cannot have a phone, you cannot have a computer, you can't run your business basically. You can't have LED, anything with LED. The list goes on. And China is willing to sacrifice a lot. They're saying once you get all the politics and all the BS out your mind, then it starts to make sense. It's all about power and profits. Yeah, of course. This is showing you, like, I'm just talking about this rare earth, but it's linked to the politics. It's linked to how the world how the world operates. It's linked, right? They discovered it in the 1700s, and it's linked to them developing society. Because without it, you couldn't have no nuclear reactors. Without it, you probably couldn't have a lot of weapons. They classify it as, military. You couldn't have a lot of things without it. So it's a big development, right? So China was really, developing it more than any other country. They're doing it the most. So at one point, they're not going to tell you China was making a lot of it a long time ago for America, a lot of it for Russia. That's why them and Russia's like this. That's why them and Russia's like this. So really, Russia has access to a lot of this because of the relationship like this, right? Even North Korea has access to it, and it helps the military. America has access to it, but they can't develop it as fast, right? So it makes you wonder with Iran and China's relationship. That's why America is threatened by, well, not saying threatened by Iran, but that's why they want to go there and stop their shit with the whole nuclear program, because with the nuclear program, that means you need rare earth. Anybody who's has a nuclear weapon needs rare earth. So where are they getting their rare earth from? Maybe Russia, maybe China to develop their things, right? So if you have rare earth, you could develop a lot of things for your nation. If you have, and the only guys who are really producing it a lot is China. The only people producing it a lot is China. It's not good for your environment. Straight up, they put mysteries and mysteries when I'm reading this what it does to people. They don't want to tell you what it does. They don't want to tell you what it does. They don't want to tell you. History, rare earth, list of rare earth elements. I already put that. Mainly discovered as components of minerals. So rare earth was mainly discovered as components of minerals. The term rare earth refers to these rare found minerals, and earth comes from old name of oxides. Mm, interesting. Interesting. Without it, it looks interesting just looking at the picture. Japan finds rare earth in deep sea mission. That's why they're doing all these missions. Canada has rare earth. So Canada has its own shit. They're saying they could produce a lot for North America or right. So America, like I said, they could do it, but they don't want to because it will affect the environment. Rare earth elements consist of 17 elements, including 15 lanthanides from the periodic table, along with traditional metals, scandium and yttrium. The later two elements exhibit similar properties to the lanthanides and are typically found in the same ore deposits. REEs are key components in many electronic devices that we use in our daily lives, as well as a variety of industrial application. Canada holds some of the largest known reserves and resources of rare earth metals globally, estimated over 15.2 million tons of rare earth oxide in 2023. That's what Trump is looking at. The manufacturing of permanent magnets is the largest global use for REEs, accounting for 45% of the total demand in 2023. China is the world's largest producer with an estimated 254,000 tons of mined REEs and 189,179 tons of refined REEs in 2023, accounting for 70% of the global mine production and 87% of the global refined production. Although many countries, including Canada, possess REE reserves and resources, producing these metals involve complex separation and refining. So that's why Canada and China is like this, because they're going to work together. China's going to teach Canada how to do production. That's what's going to happen. China's going to have Canada or use Canada to do production. That's why they gave Canada 50,000 EVs, electric vehicles, because Canada has a lot, a big reserves of it. Big, huge. Makes sense. The land is huge. And they can do it because it's away from populations, right? There's only 40 something million Canadians, and most of the land is uninhabited. So reserves nowhere close to where most people live, right? And if they are, they won't use those. They use the ones that are outskirts. And China is going to be working, like I told people a couple episodes ago, and I read the information of them actually not just China giving Canada EVs, but producing electric cars to the world. So Canada and China will be the main electric car producers in the next 10 for the future. And America's left out of it. Yeah, America is left out of it. Oh, so it shows it in Canada. Most of the stuff is in Ontario. Earth Processing Facility, Clay Howells, Prairie Lake, Lacknar Lake. Oh shit. One, two, four. 5. Damn, I didn't know that. They have others like facilities. One in one of the other provinces. Quebec has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Quebec has about 10, it looks like. Different type of facilities. Processing a lot in Ontario. 1, 2, 3, 4. Resource estimated. That's where the green is. So it's in Canada, but a lot of the processing is done in Ontario. I didn't even know that shit. Shit. Processing. Either way, it's in Canada. World's RE mine production by country 2023. China's number 1. America's number 2. Australia. World, they're talking about by production. America's number 2. That must have changed. It's 2026. Myanmar is number 4. Thailand is 5. So if you don't care about your country and the environment, you'll do anything. The United States was the world's top RE supplier until China rose in the 1990s. China maintained its near monopoly on RE supply until 2012 when the now bankrupt American company Molycorp Incorporated and Australia's Lynas Rare Earths Ltd began commercial production. So a lot of people started commercial production recently. Most of them, there's a place downtown Toronto that processes uranium pellets. I could believe that. That's why we're the 51st state. That's why he wants Canada to be the 51st state, but China and the other countries stop that shit. That's not gonna happen. That's his talk. That's his talk shit. Don't listen to all the stuff Trump is saying because he backed down. After Trump is gone, you're not gonna hear about nothing. After Trump is dead or he's not the president, you're not going to hear about no talk, right? You're going to hear silence. And maybe I go in my conspiracy bag before I end off. Why? Sometimes the person who looks the strongest is not really the strongest, right? If we believe in these secret societies and people who control stuff. And sometimes the person who's the most quietest is the most dangerous in the room, right? So when you see people loud, a lot of the times it's a lot of talk, and that's what Trump does. And you have to wonder why a lot of the people in government blocked all this shit with these tariffs. Other people in the American government, even their own Republicans don't agree with him. But enough of that guy. He's doing a lot of work, right? All I know, China has been producing this stuff for a long time, right? Canada is the 51st state. Well, if I put it like this, Canada and America has always been together. If I'm going into this conspiracy thing, Canada's always been with America. America's always been with Canada. They just separated by these names. It's really all one. Even Mexico or South America, it's really all one. They just separated with these names and these borders and shit like that. So even before him talking about this 51st state, I always believed down the line, right? Like the NWO thing. It's always been together. These guys are all together. Like when we're thinking Russia is fully enemies with America and shit like that, behind the scenes, you don't know really what these guys are doing. They're working for themselves, the elites, if we want to call it. They don't give a shit about the population of who's out there. They're using people to fight wars and study the population. So really, what is a state? It's the world. The NWO is the main shit. Trump is the orange god. Trump is the orange god. Forget. Either way, man. This rare earth is the most important thing on earth for every country to have. Without this shit, a lot of things are not going to operate. So you need the rare earth. Without it, a lot of things can't be, nothing's going to be operating without it. But I broke it down throughout this episode about the history of it, what it is, and why China is the biggest producers of it. Makes sense. China is one of the most polluted countries in the world. Sorry to say it is one of the most polluted places because of production, of them doing manufacturing production for the world, right? And they're willing to continue it, but it looks like they're going to be doing something with Canada. America is angry because of Canada and China's relationship. Now I understand why, the big picture why, is because of if China develops, right? That's why America, Trump was saying that, if you do this deal with China, Canada will be ruined. But he means it in in a way like what I'm saying in regards to maybe pollution. I don't know. Canada's pretty big if you didn't know. But he's basically talking about this. This is what's going to be going on. China and Canada will be developing a lot of rare earth together. China's the biggest production place for it. And now Canada, probably in the next 10 years, will be the second, if not the first, biggest production of rare earth. That's what it seems like. Rare earth is going to be developed the most in Canada, but it's not going to be maybe too much near the population. But as I see this map, it doesn't look too good. Like I see Canadian RE projects. A lot of them are in Ontario. One, two, three, four, five. Five of them are in Ontario. A good amount of them are in Quebec. The far out regions, not too much of them. You should put them up far out, man. Put this shit far out somewhere, away from the people. Put it far out. Put it in like the places where no one really lives, because if you see what happened in China, it's not good. Just look up China, ghost cities, pollution. China is one of the most polluted places on earth. And I think India's next to it. Most people, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Yeah, doing all of that is not going to make your environment good. South Asia, most polluted on earth. The most polluted places on earth primarily located in South Asia. Bangladesh, Pakistan, India leading the list due to the combination of industrial emissions, unregulated vehicle pollution, crop burning, poor waste management, and rapid urbanization. Major cities like Dhaka, Lahore, and Delhi often experience hazardous air quality levels that far exceed WHO guidelines. Other countries like Tajikistan and Burkina Faso also face significant challenges, primarily due to dust storms and limited environment regulations. But I know China's in the list. No, China's in the list because they're doing a lot of the same. Indonesia, Russia, United States. So at first it's China. The most polluted countries: China, India, then Japan, then Iran, because Iran is developing something. Oil production, that's what it is. Japan is an advanced economy. India is rapid industrialization. China is the largest emitter. United States, high per capita. Russia, fossil and fuel reliance. That's why. America used to be like that, fossil and fuel reliance. Indonesia, deforestation. That's why. They're cutting down forests. Germany, industrial power. So it's either cutting down shit or developing shit. That's why it's really polluted. People, please subscribe. So that's one reason. That's one reason it makes sense. China, India, Japan. I didn't know Japan. Well, they do have a lot of nuclear things down there. Remember one kind of, went down. A lot of people lost their lives. So Russia, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. America is number 5 on the list. Then what else countries come? Saudi Arabia. Oh, it's all the countries that are developing tech. South Korea, tech leader. Saudi Arabia, oil rich nation. So it's all Germany, industrial powerhouse. Like I said, oil production, Iran. So anybody who's doing a lot of oil and stuff, is because that's what's giving you the pollution. So America per capita, what does that mean? America is polluted too. It's one of the top ones too. They have a big population, but it's a lot of shit they use, right? From even China. So rare earth, look it up, people. Please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Look it up, the rare earth. This is an edutainment episode, right? About rare earth. Hope people got some knowledge from this episode because it's really important. But I'm out.